Imagine you are a foreign journalist working in Beijing. You meet a source at a quiet cafe downtown. No police officer walks in. No one stops you. Nothing dramatic happens. Everything feels perfectly normal. But later, somewhere inside a police database, two faces become two names. Two names become a connection. That connection becomes part of a map. Not a map of streets, a map of people and relationships. What if I told you this isn't science fiction? This is a system that may already exist in China right now. Here's the story. In May 2026, a cybersecurity researcher known as Ned Ascari stumbled onto something extraordinary online. He found an unsecured web dashboard in a Chinese police tracking system lying completely exposed on the open internet. When he clicked on a tab labeled Inquiry for Journalist Files, he expected to see fake placeholder data. Instead, real faces appeared. Real passports. Real private cell phone numbers of nearly every foreign journalist based in Beijing. It was more interesting than shocking, Ned Ascari told DW. When you work in China, you assume you're on their radar. What shocked him wasn't the surveillance itself. It was how easy it was to access this highly sensitive system. The system appeared built for Zhangjiakou's Public Security Bureau, one of the city that hosted the 2022 Winter Olympics. Though it appears to be a demonstration or test version, it was populated with real personal data from real people. Think about that for a second. A test system filled with real names, real passport numbers, real private phone numbers, the platform's official name, the dynamic management and control platform for foreigners. Let that sink in. This is not just a story about cameras. It's a story about what cameras become when connected to AI and databases. So how did surveillance get this powerful? Let me take you back. Old school surveillance required people, actual human beings. Police officers physically followed targets. They wrote reports by hand. The work was slow, expensive, and deeply limited. But then something changed. AI arrived. And everything about surveillance transformed almost overnight. Here's how. China already operates the world's largest CCTV network, the government's bright eyes. Project aims to connect it all. In 2022, Reuters reviewed over 50 government procurement documents. They found dozens of firms selling one person, one file AI software. This software doesn't just record, it learns. It automatically sorts footage, identifies faces, and organizes personal files. As smart cameras become more popular, the number of captured facial images in a city will grow to trillions per year. Huawei patent 2021. Trillions per year in one city. Do you feel the weight of that number? I want you to hold that thought. The Zhangjiakou dashboard shows how deep this goes. The system recorded which train carriage and seat number a target occupied. It even pulled photos from ski resort facial recognition gates, syncing images from the slopes directly into police tracking files. The system also logged gasoline purchases, shopping locations, and whether someone frequented government petition areas. CCTV used to be a camera. AI turns it into memory. A memory that never sleeps, never forgets, and never looks away. The surveillance cost and the effort, the manpower, didn't just drop, it collapsed. Watching everyone became cheaper than watching someone. Okay, so AI cameras can track where you are. But here's where it gets even more unsettling. That's not the real power. The real power is this. The system doesn't just track individuals, it maps who those individuals are connected to. The Zhangjiakou dashboard automatically generated relationship graphs. Based on how often targets appeared on camera together, it built a visual network showing exactly who knows who and how much time they spent together in the physical world. This is called social network analysis, SNA. And while it sounds academic, it has very real consequences for real people. Let me give you a concrete example from the dashboard. Foreign journalist A meets local researcher B at a university cafe. Researcher B is connected to a sensitive technology institute. That institute appears near restricted industrial zones. Now the system draws a line. Journalist, researcher, institute, sensitive industry. A relationship map is born. Separately, each piece of data seems harmless. A coffee meeting, a campus visit, a job listing, normal life. But in a graph, these innocent connections transform into what the system might flag as a suspicious network. A 2019 patent from Chinese tech company He describes this exact approach, calling it a holographic relationship model. In 2025, the Shanghai Putao Public Security Bureau awarded a $200,000 contract for a holistic personnel archive system. This is real. Knowledge graphs are used to connect people, places, events, times, and organizations into one giant searchable intelligence map. Think of it like Google Maps, but instead of streets, it maps every human relationship in a given city or country. Here's where I need to pause, because there's something critically important you should understand about these systems. Sharing a cafe doesn't make you friends. Staying in the same hotel doesn't make you conspirators. The algorithm doesn't know that the system converts human relationships, which are messy, ambiguous, and context-dependent, into scores and lines on a graph. And once you're drawn into that graph, the burden isn't on the system to prove you're dangerous. The graph already decided. Now I want to ask you something. Is this legal? The answer depends entirely on which legal tradition you're asking about. In Western liberal democracies, the starting point is this. The state must justify why it needs to surveil you. You have rights first. The U.S. Supreme Court's 2018 Carpenter decision made this clear. The government needs a warrant to access your location history. Chief Justice Roberts wrote that a phone tracking your movements is like an ankle monitor attached to you permanently. That's a search. The 1958 NAACP versus Alabama case established another principle: forced disclosure of who you associate with chills freedom itself. A relationship graph is, in effect, an automatically generated membership list, updated in real time without anyone's consent. The EU's GDPR Article 22 adds another layer. Automated decisions with significant impact on individuals require human oversight and challenge rights. If an AI system flags you as high risk and triggers a police alert, that's a decision with enormous impact on your life. Now, here's where people get this wrong. China does have privacy laws. The Personal Information Protection Law was passed in 2021. PIPL Article 26 says, cameras in public spaces must be necessary for public safety and images used only for that purpose. China's civil code also recognizes privacy as a personal right. These aren't empty words on paper. They're real legal provisions. But here's the critical difference. In China's legal system, national security and social stability are dominant public interests. When public security organs invoke national security or foreign management duties, the scope of permissible action expands dramatically. The Exit and Entry Administration Law institutionalizes foreigner registration, hotel reporting, and police notification as legal defaults. So the legal structure is different, not absent. The question shifts from, can the state watch you, to, can you stop them? As Ned Ascari put it, in Western democracies there are debates. In China, this debate doesn't exist at all. And before anyone feels too comfortable, the US and Europe have their own serious surveillance debates. Nobody is clean here. Palantir, NSA mass collection, predictive policing tools. These are real Western controversies that haven't been fully resolved. The difference, and it matters, is the existence of courts, oversight, legal challenges, and political accountability. For now. So let me ask you the real question now, not the legal one, the philosophical one. What is privacy actually for? The common answer is, I have nothing to hide. But scholars who study surveillance say that completely misses the point. Privacy isn't about hiding wrongdoing. Privacy is the space where you can think, meet, question, and exist before the state asks why. Legal scholar Neil Richards calls it intellectual privacy, the freedom to form ideas without surveillance distorting the process itself. When people know they're being watched, they act differently. They think differently. They self-censor. This is called the chilling effect. Here's a real example from this case. A local Chinese researcher wants to meet a foreign journalist for lunch. Simple, right? But then the researcher thinks, what if our faces appear together on the system? What if that creates a connection in a database? The researcher cancels lunch. The journalist never learns why. No one was arrested. No one was even confronted. Surveillance worked perfectly. This is what makes relationship mapping so uniquely powerful and so uniquely dangerous. The state doesn't need to act. The mere existence of the system, the knowledge that connections are being mapped, reshapes how people relate to each other. The sociologist David Lyon describes this as surveillance's sorting function. It divides populations into those who are safe and those who are suspect, and the criteria for that sorting are set by whoever controls the system. Public safety, national security, regime stability, There's also a concept called proportionality. Even legitimate public interest can't justify unlimited intrusion on individual rights. Mapping every relationship of every foreigner in a city in real time, permanently, that is a difficult case to make proportionate. Now, here's something that should give everyone pause. This technology is not staying in China. It's spreading globally. According to the Associated Press, U.S. companies including IBM, Cisco, Dell, and Oracle built foundational systems now used in Chinese policing. China has since exported surveillance technologies to Iran, Russia, and dozens of other countries. The playbook travels with the product. And in the US right now, DHS contractors are using AI to monitor social media posts of visa applicants. Today, not tomorrow. So I want to leave you with a genuine question, not a rhetorical one. What kind of society do you want to live in? If public safety requires the state to map every relationship, then what part of private life remains genuinely private? The frightening part isn't that China has cameras. Many countries have cameras. That part is almost mundane by now. The frightening part is what cameras become when they are connected to AI, databases, and relationship graphs at scale. A camera sees a face. A database remembers a name. A graph draws a connection. A state may call that connection a risk. The question isn't whether surveillance works as a tool. It clearly does. The question is what kind of society it builds around us. Privacy isn't for people with something to hide. Privacy is the condition under which free people can exist before being asked to justify themselves. If you take one thing from today's story, let it be this. The infrastructure of control is always built before the control itself arrives. After hearing all of this today, what do you think? Where's the line between protection and something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I genuinely want to know where you land on this. These conversations matter more than ever. That's a wrap for today. See you next time. And until then, keep asking the questions that make people uncomfortable.